there's three versions of Pink Floyd, basically.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different variations in the history and the people and what the music sounds like and who the leader is.
Yeah.
You know, all this shit.
Yeah.
But we got to bring it back to London.
Yep.
London town. Where there were a couple architecture students.
Yeah.
3 of them.
Yeah.
By the names of Roger. Waters. Nick.
Mason.
The Stone Mason, as we refer to him now. And then Richard.
Close.
Wrong. Richard wrong. No, clearly Richard right.
Uh-huh.
Because he knows how to play those keys right. All right? You know it. And so they were architecture students, but they wanted to be in a band. Because who doesn't want to be in a band?
Exactly. Who wants to draw?
Yeah.
Well, I do. But...
Who wants to draw things that actually will become buildings and actual things in society in real life?
That's right. I'd rather draw memorable album covers.
I'd rather draw on the air with my instrument.
Exactly.
Right?
I'd rather construct a song.
Yes. I like that. So they were like, yeah, let's construct some songs. So it's the 60s. They're in London. You know, the British invasion was already happening. The Beatles were the big thing. All the British groups were trying to be like American rock and roll and like blues people.
Yeah.
So they started out just playing like blues songs.
Yes.
Like pretty typical shit.
Yeah. My mama done told me.
And for all intents and purposes, when they were doing that, it didn't really go anywhere.
Because people didn't believe that their mama done told them anything.
Yeah, I don't even think they have moms.
Exactly.
They only have dads.
They were pods.
Yeah, they were from labs. They were born in labs. So then Roger's friend from childhood was this guy named Sid Barrett.
Who he had met at a Saturday afternoon art class.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like a place where you would go to meet a crazy bandmate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so Sid, because they were not from London, right? They were somewhere else, like Birmingham or some shit.
Yes, it's pretty much outside. I'm starting to think like this is just like a major city with like a little like boroughs right outside of it in a way.
London?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. Tell us about London. We're
Please
a bunch
do.
of uncultured Americans.
Uh-huh.
Sorry. We're very easily impressed. But so Sid comes down to London. And he's like, yeah, like I like what you guys are doing with this whole music thing. Let me get in on this.
Yes.
And Sid was quite a character.
Yes.
Some would say he was quite mad. He was a bit crazy from the beginning. He was always kind of a quirky guy.
Yeah, from the beginning. So we can actually blame Roger for all of this.
It's all...
How about that, Raj? No,
Oh,
just
man.
kidding. He would be enraged.
I think at this point, he's just like, it is what it is. But so Sid comes down to hang out with his boy Raj and the boys Nick and Dick. And so he's a quirky guy. Like they even said like, even like the way he walked, he would just like always be just like,
Yeah.
up, just like, you know, up, like uplifting. And they were like, I don't know, like something about the way that Roger said it. He was like, even he walked weird. Like he had just a very different vibe about him.
Yeah, it's like David says he was like, you know, he was beautiful to look at. He had a stride. He walked like this. He talked interesting. And then he paused and he was like, I don't want to make this sound like a love song. But that's what I was thinking when David was talking about him. I was like, damn, you love this guy.
And it's funny because David Gilmour eventually replaces him.
Yes, he does.
But we'll get to that.
Yes.
So Sid is just like, he's just a wild, quirky guy. And he brings two, I don't know, were they called Pink Floyd yet? Or he made the name, right?
Yeah, he made the name. And then I want to say this too, like they actually proposed a name called the Megadeths.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then the universe was like, hold on, guys.
We got to save that.
We got to save that for later.
I heard they were originally going to be the Metallicas.
Nope.
No? Oh, man. I must have got my stories mixed up. Sorry. So Sid comes in and he's like, we're going to rename the band. It's the Pink Floyd sound.
Right.
Because they got it from the two
different albums. Blues albums. Pink somebody, and then someone Floyd. Yes, and he put those together.
Tell us who the original Pink and Floyd respectively were, because we don't remember.
Yeah. By the way, which one's Pink?
I don't know if there is one.
Okay.
I'll have to check the records.
Okay.
But now it's the Pink Floyd sound, and Syd Barrett's like, I'm doing my own shit. I'm not just doing this R&B American stuff. Like, I'm doing my whole quirky, like, weird shit.
Yes.
And
yes.
it, you know, I wish there was a nicer way to say it, but he's like, I'm a weird fucking guy, and I'm going for it.
Yeah. He pulled out his Mad Hat.
Yeah.
Right? Mad Hatter, he's born over there in London too. So maybe Sid knew him. But he pulls out the hat of all different types. And it's like he's like a wizard in a way. He just wanted to throw everything up against the wall and try it out.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to let's just make music. You know, let's make art.
Right. He was a very arty kind of guy. I mean, he kind of came in, he was like, we're going to kind of like just not ruin, but like destroyed the idea of like the typical song. It's like, yeah, we'll do a riff and then we'll jam for 10 minutes and then we'll go back to the riff and that's a song. You know what I mean? Which is not something that people were really doing at the time.
Right.
And then also just like his lyrics were just like, you know, very like mystical and like almost like full of wonder in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just a very different vibe than what was going on with other bands.
Right.
So he very quickly became the leader of the band.
Yeah, because it was new, it was interesting. People were pretty much just singing about either love or, you know, the
hate.
conditions. Yeah, either love or hate. I was about to say love or war. And now this guy is like somewhere in between and just proposing a whole different style of theories and trains of thought, you know? So, of
Right.
course, that's going to draw in a bigger crowd. More people are going to be interested and stuff like that. And then that's going to push you to the forefront of the band, too.
Right. And it's really interesting because during this time, they basically became like the leading band of like the British like underground like art rock scene or whatever you want to call it.
Which is cool. It's cool. I'm a sucker for bands and music groups when they first start out. And it's just like, once I see you hit big, I almost hate you. Like, I can't stand
How
them.
dare you be successful?
You know what I mean? How dare you? I look at the album, I'm like, best album of all time. Oh, good God.
Like, sure.
Like, whatever. Like, you know, no. But I mean, it's great to see when people like unfold and really blossom and become huge successes and stuff like that. But it's even better for me when it's just like, they're just so young and small. And it's like, you can see that getting ready to pop. Like,
Right.
you know, it's like, yeah. So I love that. I love the new beginnings of things. So that must have been awesome to kind of follow them around from pub to pub or playing space to playing space and watch Pink Floyd grow.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, no, that must have been a really cool time. And they grew pretty quickly because they got signed. They got signed to the same label that the Beatles were signed to. And they were recording in the same studio that the Beatles were recording in.
Yeah, Abbey
which
Road.
is a big deal.
Yes.
Like, they were talking, the Beatles were the biggest band in the world. And, like, you know, 2 years ago, you were just playing cover songs and nobody gave a shit about you. And then now all of a sudden, your goofy friend comes in and you're making this crazy music and you're getting signed to the label that has the biggest band in the world and you're recording in the same room that they're fucking recording in or, like, the room
Insane.
next door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're recording and they're, you know, Sid is making all of his super trippy songs and he at this time starts to get into a little bit of drugs, a little bit of hallucinogens.
Just a little bit.
Which was really, you know, groundbreaking at the time because I don't know if you guys knew this, but you know, London in the 60s, they weren't into drugs.
No.
Nobody did drugs in the 60s.
Never.
But
Ever.
he's like, I'm going to do all the drugs.
Yeah. I'm going to be the first drug addict ever. Drug doer.
So he was already, you know, a little off, but then you add a bunch of acid to it,
Yeah.
it's not going to help your sanity.
Yeah, I think I'm going to quote the Joker here where he says, like, you know, with insanity, you know, it's like all you need is a little
push.
off the deep end. Like,
Right.
yeah, that's
So
pretty scary.
Sid was already kind of like walking that line when they recorded their first album, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn,
Yes.
which is super trippy album.
It's super
Even
trippy.
to this day.
To this day. Yeah, but really interesting, though. Like, I dug it.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting because also, like, you got to think, like, so, yeah, they were just, you know, in the pubs or whatever, like, you know, small venues, and then all of a sudden they're signed and they're in this studio, which is, like, the most sophisticated studio probably in the planet at the time. So there's all these like instruments and like things that they would never have had access to before that they get into the studio and they're just like kids in a fucking candy store. They're like, ooh, let's try this. Ooh, let's try this. They're trying all these just like different random sounds and they're just like putting things onto a record that like people wouldn't have thought to do.
Right. I mean, and it's so interesting about like psychedelic rock and progressive rock and stuff. It's like, you know, the drugs kind of do open up the gates for all of those weird sounds and things like that, but they're not.
Open up the gates of dawn?
They do. At the gates. They open the gates at the gates. But it's just like, it's so terrible, like, to be like sucked into the drug a part of it. Like, and not be able to come out. Because psychedelic rock, I can see like how let's just say like a psychedelic pattern, right? It kind of like jumps out at you and all this stuff like that. Like psychedelic rock is like that too. And prog rock is like that too. Little sounds here and there and stuff like that. So what I've heard about like an acid trip, because I've never done acid before and I've never done LSD, but what I've heard about those trips is like that's how things jump out at you. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're in a different realm or whatever. So the music emulates the actual drug.
Yes. Let's say hypothetically I've done acid. I would say that that's pretty accurate. Hypothetically, of course. Yeah, no, it is really true. It makes sense, like, when you see, like, what psychedelic music is. If you've done any psychedelics, you're just like, oh, I get where this kind of comes from. You know what I mean? And again, so at this point, Sid is the undisputed leader, and he's writing all the songs, and he's kind of becoming, like, the star of the band as well. Because he was... by all accounts, you know, he was goofy, but he was a very charismatic guy.
Yeah.
Like, people wanted to be around him. People wanted to be his friend. But now you kind of have a double-edged sword coming up because now they're starting to get, like, famous.
Yes.
And, like, you know, that is not good for mental health in general.
No.
But now not only are you getting famous, but you're just doing ridiculous amounts of acid. And you're really just frying your brain.
Yeah.
To the point that your reality is just becoming completely distorted.
Yeah. The coping mechanism for the fame is for a lot of people is the drugs, like, you know what I mean? Because one, you're the big bad rock star, right? And you're on stage, so you have to be like unabated, like you have to act as if nothing bothers you, nothing can touch you or whatever. But at the same time, it's just like for, like you said, like for mental health, so many people coming up to you and talking to you, like it's more now than just a good party one day, 2 days a week.
Right, you got to always be on.
Now, yeah, you know what I mean? Like that is a lot to deal with. And I'm just going to throw this out there too, because I know like there's like a stiff upper lip kind of British thing. So vulnerability and stuff like that. Like, I think I'm losing my mind. I don't think I can take this. I don't know how far, like that's probably not going to come into conversation.
Push it down.
You know what I mean?
Push it down. Nobody wants to hear it. Right? As that's the British way.
That's right.
But so yeah. So, but that it's a really interesting thing because this kind of plants a seed for what becomes a bigger deal with them later. Is that they're kind of not, they don't like the fame really, and they want to be playing their music, but they don't really necessarily want to be known. So they start, they have like these light shows. And they have all these other things going on at the show to kind of take the spotlight away from them. Right? Like, they don't want people to be looking at them playing the music. They just want to, like, you go to the show and it's like a whole, experience. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is really cool. We'll bring up that later. How that, very cool. That kind of continues with them, even after Sid's gone. You know what I mean? But so now they're huge, but they're not really comfortable with it, or they're getting really big. Yeah, I wouldn't say they're definitely not as huge as they became. Right? Yeah, they're not about to hit tours and stuff yet, but notoriety is good, and England is not that big. That's true. That is very true. So then, they're becoming a really big band. Sid is the undisputed leader. Like, he writes all the songs, basically. He gives them their whole... Again, he gave them the spark that led to their success. They existed before Sid, and they were going nowhere. Right. And then Sid came in with some completely different shit, and then now things are happening for them. Yeah. So it really, Sid became like the trampoline for them to get them moving and bouncing. You know what I mean? He was the Bon Scott. Yeah. Sid Barrett, Bon Scott, if he stayed in England. Yeah. Or if he moved to England from Scotland, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway.
UK all day.
UK, yeah. Let's go. So, okay, so they put out Piper at the Gates of Dawn. It does very well.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, as they get more and more successful, Sid, just mental health becomes less and less successful.
Yeah.
Like,
starts to decline seriously.
He's just real, like, apparently it was like a pretty fast decline, too.
Yeah, and they said they were doing things like this. Hey, Dan, what are you doing Tuesday night?
I don't know. What's up?
Okay, well, I'm just going to go hang out at 317 East Houston. I'm just going to grab a coffee from around there and then stay there for like 3 or 4 hours, but that's it. And I'm going to come back home.
You're not going to play any music at the venue?
I'm just going to get a coffee and I'm coming right back home. That's it. So if anybody tells you that they saw me there, I was just there for coffee.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, if that's what you want to do, I guess.
Yay.
You don't want to play shows? Oh.
Side After Dark. See ya.
Okay. So 317 Houston Street is a venue that we play at, where we actually met at.
Yeah.
For y'all, little Side After Dark trivia there. So Sid is just kind of declining, and then his old friend comes to like hang out with the band, this guitarist named David Gilmour.
Yes.
And he knew Sid from back in the day, and he said immediately when he went to London, he saw Sid and like the look in his eyes. He was just like, "What's going on with Sid?"
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He immediately was like, "This is not like the kid that I knew growing up."
Not at all. And we just want to say that when David Gilmour walked into that room and saw Sid, he didn't know it, but they were like angels singing in the background as he like walked in. Yeah.
yeah, that's the true story. Straight from the angel's mouth to my ears. So now their friend David was there, and he was like, "Whoa, something's off with Sid." But he was like, "I don't know if I just like caught him on a weird day, or like I didn't know how big of a deal it was."
Yeah.
But it ended up being kind of a big deal because it just got to the point where Sid's mental health just declined so far that he couldn't be in a band anymore.
No.
My favorite story from this era was, this is kind of funny but kind of fucked up. So he had this song, or he went into a rehearsal once. He was like, "Hey guys, I got a new song for you. It's called Have You Got It Yet?" And they're like, "Okay, how's it go?" And he's like, "It goes like this, do 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 do." And they're like, "Oh, it's like do 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 do." He's like, "No, it's like do 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 do." And they're like, "Oh, okay, so it's like do 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 do." He's like, No. It's like this, do 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 do. And they're just kind of looking at him like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Have you got it yet?"
Oh, Sid, you cad.
And the thing is, that's actually hilarious as just like a little prank. Mm-hmm. But this wasn't a prank. Like, he was being dead serious. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you're a band and that's your job is to make music, and at this point, like, the record label's like, "Yo, we need another single, we need more music, blah, 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 blah," and your leader is coming in doing shit like that, you're like, what are we doing?
No.
Like, nothing is getting done. Like,
exactly. Those are those time is money situations where it's like, no.